want to welcome everybody for tuning in today. Hi, Kathy and Emilsa and Linda and Nancy. Thank you for joining me. Hi, B. On your screen is my finished painting of the wolf. So I'll wait about another minute and then we'll start our class. Hi, Mandy. Okay. I'm going to move my painting out of the way, and now you can see my drawing. Hi, Pat. Hi, Connie. Hi, Karen. I'm so glad you're all here. I want to get our housekeeping issues out of the way first, and didn't talk to you about this class. So if you have any questions that I don't see because it's hard for me to paint and see the screen at the same time, if you'll leave them in the comments section, Steve will answer them or we'll compile them and I will answer them on our next class on Wednesday. And the videos are recorded and they will be in this private group for you to view over and over and over again. And you can contact me via email anytime you have a question. I'll be glad to help you. This particular subject is a little more detailed than the things we've been doing in the past, and it may, if we need to run our classes a little longer, we will, because I want you to get the most out of this class, and I do appreciate you supporting me during this time and coming back for class after class. I really enjoy it. I miss having you all here, but this has also enabled me to meet lots of new people that I wouldn't have met otherwise. So this project is on velour paper, and it's on light gray velour paper, and we're going to use new pastels, soft pastels, and pastel pencils. And I think I have provided a couple of alternatives for everything, so that if you don't have a particular product, I'll show you an alternate that you can use. Now, the photographs for this painting were taken by Monty Sloan. I photoshopped two photos together. Actually, I put them in my program. So we have the blood moon is one photograph, and the second photograph is this particular wolf. And I have painted her before. She's a beautiful wolf. The wolf was taken in the daytime, and of course the moon was taken at night. So I wanted to put the two together and also to change the coloring in the wolf to resemble the nighttime and to reflect the moonlight. And I wanted to do that by exaggerating color. Now, I also photoshopped some purple and blue into the background that was not in the original photograph that we're going to do because art should be fun. This photograph is just available for you guys. It will not be on the web anywhere. So let's get started. Here is the original photograph of the wolf. Isn't she beautiful? Now, it's your option to whether you wanted to transfer your legs, if you want to paint the legs, or you just want to paint the wolf's head and the moon. It's up to you. We're going to cover all of that. So I transferred my drawing to the paper with transfer paper, and I also used my 9B graphite pencil to go over the lines and make sure that they were all visible. I think drawing is important because it helps develop your skills as an artist. Then we're also using either white pastel. I like this general white pastel pencil, and also you could use, of course, the general white charcoal pencil. I found out that the general white charcoal pencil is made of calcium carbonate, and so it repels all the other colors, which is why it shows through. So I found that to be very interesting. So I'm going to take, I already have my pencil drawing down. We're going to go from the beginning of this project to the end, step by step. So I'm going to use my white pencil. I need a longer one. They get pretty small. So I'm going to use my white pencil to put in some of these white areas. So that we can find the edges of the wolf, and we can also find where the white hairs are when we put the layers on later. The other thing we're going to do with this project is use complementary colors to make our grays rather than using gray pastel. If you've painted with me, I'm going to add a few white hairs here in the ear. If you have painted with me before, particularly if you've painted a wolf with me before, you know I use a lot of gray pastel. We're not going to do that so much this time. We're going to blend colors together to make a colorful gray. I want to outline this white tooth that's here. I want to put a little white on the nose where the highlight's going to be. Now if you don't get all these in, it's okay, because we're going to add them back as we go along. I want to put a little white edge here. And also, particularly back here, the edges are going to be backlit, and we're going to make them very dramatic. I'm just putting in a few. And hopefully I won't get out of camera view. Now to put our darks in, you can use a 6B charcoal pencil, but this time, instead of using a 6B, I'm going to use a 229 black new pastel. I used to use a black pastel when I first started working in pastel, and then I kind of got away from it. But with this class, I wanted to do this. So we're going to add the darks, and you have your little packet of information, so you can refer to that or add notes to it. And I have my reference photo here, so I can follow it. So I'm going to add all the dark areas, because we want to build up. A little white here. We want to build up all the darks in the painting before we add the light hair. Adding the hair will be the last thing that we do. So adding the dark, this dark outline, so to speak, is going to help us create a framework to build our painting on. I'm just using the edge of my pastel stick coloring like I would in a coloring book. Go around the eye. There's not much showing in her eye. I'm going to add a little white where it catches the moonlight. And then I'm just going to draw in her black mask. I love painting wolves. You guys who know me know that I just think they're beautiful. So everywhere I'm coloring right now is going to be black hair later. Using a very light touch. Add some dark in the ear. You can use this process to paint almost anything, I think. And I do hope I could give you some tips with color this week that will help you with your own painting. I'm going to go around the tip of the ear. We're going to be adding, this won't be the only time we add black or dark. We're going to add lots of layers. Also, if you haven't, encourage you to watch the free Introduction to Pastel Painting on Velour that's on my website, which will show you how to sharpen pastels like this and other hopefully helpful things. Mounting your paper. You don't have to mount your paper. I do, but you can do it yourself. Now I'm going to leave this area behind the ear open because this is going to be where the light strikes. And if I get out of camera range, let me know. Make this a little darker under the ear. Okay. Normally I have this part done before you tune in, but I thought, well, you know, I'm going to take you from start to finish. We have a lot of new people that haven't been here before. So I have a nice black and white painting right now. Just a black outline. We do a little bit around the nose. Under the eye. Oh, and our little whisker holes. We got to get those in. Okay. So I think now we can add our base coats. And I'll move the painting up as we go along so that you'll be able to see everything that I'm doing. So I'm not sure if I said what we what we were going to do each day. I always stumble around on the first day, so forgive me. We're going to put the base coat layers on the wolf today. And so we've transferred the wolf. We've gone over our transfer with 9B graphite pencil to establish our drawing. Then we have added white pencil for our highlighted hairs around the edge so we don't lose them when we add background. We'll have other opportunities to add hairs, but basically that's what this is for, is to establish the outline so that you don't go too far in with your colors and then part of your wolf is gone. And then just now we have used the black 229 new pastel to put the dark areas, the darkest values in that are going to be black hair later. And now we're going to add the base coats to the wolf. So today we're going to do the base coats. Wednesday we're going to add the background and paint the moon. And if time permits, or we'll extend time a little bit, we're going to start adding the final hairs to the wolf, which brings it all together. So it's going to go through an ugly stage before we get to the fantastic final stage. And then on Friday, we're going to put all the top hairs in, and I'm going to show you some things I've learned recently that work really great for doing that. And I'm going to give you some options. And we're going to add a lot of color as we go along. So our next step is to add some base coats. So the first thing I'm going to do with that, I'm going to use a base coat of gray. So let me get my gray Rembrandt colors out. On your color sheet, I use 707.7 mouse gray. It's a good mouse gray color made by Rembrandt. It comes in a whole stick that looks like this, and I break it in half and sand it until I get little pieces that look like this. And because this is velour paper, it's practically dust-free, and a piece of chalk like this will last you many, 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 many paintings, which is another reason I really like velour paper. So we're going to add, Rembrandt makes a lot of grays, and here's where substitution comes in, and some of you wrote me, and so I tried to tell you that. If you've painted with me before, or you have a collection of pastels, you probably have some different grays. And any of those medium value grays would work, as long as they're Rembrandts, which is a medium hard pastel. If we use pastel that is too soft, it fills up the tooth of the paper, and then we can't add any additional layers to it. So you want to use a medium hard pastel like the Rembrandt. Someone also wrote me and asked, should they buy sets or individual pastels? And my answer to that is it depends on what you want to do. For a class like this, I would buy only what's on the list because that saves you money. If you're going to do a lot of pastel work, then I would buy sets. So I'm going to add this layer of pastel. I'm going to use the flat edge of my pastel, and I'm going to gently push it around on the paper. I'm going to let the paper take the color off the stick. I'm going to try to stay in the lines, but since this is the beginning, it's okay if you go outside the lines. If you want to get in a small area, turn it up on its end to go around smaller areas, like so. If I want to get that chin and I don't want to go outside the lines, I can do it that way. I see something I need to do. I need to get his tooth in. So I'm going to do that while I think about it, because I might forget. So I'm going back and forth. I'm just pushing the chalk around. I'm not pressing hard. And you can see the white charcoal pencil that I put down is coming through the pastel layer. And I'm going to color the entire surface of just the wolf, not the background. So that's our first layer. Now, the next color I'm going to add is burnt sienna, which is 411, my poor little stick. This is 411.3 burnt sienna brown, okay? Now I'm going to use it. I have another piece here somewhere. Usually I have another piece. I'm going to use the end of it to add brown color where I see it on my wolf. So I see brown in certain areas on this wolf. And this is part of the distinctive coloring of the gray wolf, the North American gray wolf. So I want to make sure, okay. So I'm going to add some brown. I see some brown here. I'm using it on the end, and I am not pressing hard. I'm going to add some in the ear. This doesn't have to be super precise. You're going to put it where you see it in your painting, or in your reference photo. The gray wolf has white, cream color, dark gray, black, and brown fur. Unless they're a black phase gray wolf, and then in that case they're black and they change to white as they grow older. All the wolves actually get gray and go white as they get older, but black phase does it a little quicker. We're going to add more color, so this is just, we're just getting some added in, and we're going to build to color up. So I think that's all for now that I'm going to use of this color. Now, the other colors of brown we're going to be using are 223 Burnt Umber New Pastel. This is a different, this is a lighter brown and a redder brown than the one we just used. Now the advantage of this, it's also a harder brown because it's New Pastel. So now I can go into some smaller places with the tip and add some color. So I'm going to continue to add color. With this one. I can also rub it with my finger. So some brown in the mouth area. Go over the eyes. By adding another layer of brown, we're intensifying the brown that we put down. I can also use the back end of this to add color. I can use the bottom of it. As I said, this is a warmer brown, and it's not quite as dark. So some of these areas that have a more red, we can use it there. We're going to be adding lots more of this particular color. Just kind of randomly putting it down I'm not pushing hard. Okay, then we need to add some more brown. I'm going to lay that one there. Now I want, the moon is back here, the wolf is backlit, it's also in the dark, but we want these areas on either side of the wolf to be really, really bright. So, next color I'm going to use is 411.5 burnt sienna. And it is a red brown. It looks like Georgia clay, okay? So, I'm going to add this where the moon is going to strike the right side of this wolf. So along this edge, I'm going to use it on its end. I'm going to add this red color. I know it looks wild, right? But it's going to work out, trust me. He looks a little bit like a fox right now. And I think I'm going to add a little bit right underneath the ear. Just a little. So he's looking pretty good, right? Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to keep going darker. Now, what I do when I paint, the next color we're going to use is 305 Spruce Blue. I'm looking for my little broken off piece. Here it is. So here's my, I have several of every color. Like here's 3 different 305 Spruce Blues. But I broke off a piece of a stick and I sanded it, and here's my little stick of spruce blue. So I'm going to add some blue into the dark areas. So what I wanted to point out to you is that blue, here's a blue, it's a nice dark navy blue. Blue and, in this case, brown and brown red. And the brown we're going to use is this 223 burnt umber for complements. And so if I put the brown over the blue and vice versa, it makes a complicated, a more complex, not complicated, but a complex gray. And so if I put this red down, red, brown, orange, and put blue over it, you can see it turns it to gray because they're complements. So anytime we use complements, we get a gray. And that's what we're going to do in this painting. We're going to use our blue and brown to make gray instead of using lots of dark gray, which would be the normal way I would build a painting, is to use a lot of dark gray. But we're not going to do that. We're going to use blue and brown instead. Your color list doesn't have any dark gray on it. So I'm going to add some blue. We're gradually building up the colors, and I'm going to use the blue in the areas that are dark. Now, if you don't want to break a piece off, you don't have to. You can use your stick and you can just lightly go over the areas that are going to be black or dark gray. So in this area on the jaw, I'm using my reference photo to tell me where it's darker. And so by putting this blue over the brown, I'm getting a very lovely, complex gray color. Now, the black was used to provide the framework, so it guides me. So if I had just started with the blue and the brown, I might not know exactly where I was supposed to add color, but I can still see the black, so I know where I'm going to add these colors. So I'm putting blue around the eye. So this area where the mask is darker. I'm going to put some in the ear. And here again, I'm using New Pastel. New Pastel is a hard pastel, so it's not depositing much color onto the paper. The softer the pastel, the more color it lays down. Let's get a little bit darker in this area. See, I can also take my blue and I can go and add blue . Now see, I just love that. I think it's beautiful. So I'll go back to my little one, or my point. But I'm not putting blue everywhere either. I'm putting blue where the darker areas are. I'm also following the direction the hair grows, which in this case, in this positioning of the wolf, the hair is going to lean towards the right. Underneath the ear, it's going to start to go straight down, and then it's going to go off to the left on the back side. I'm going to use my little piece here. You can also add as much or as little color as you want to your painting. I mean, if you want it to be really blue and orange, you can add more, but I'm striving for a realistic yet colorful look. Okay. use the tip. Now we're going to add some brown. This is the I'm looking for the one I was using before, the 223, put it in the wrong box. So when I layer the 223, and you could use another brown, over the blue, we start to darken the color. So if I put it over the blue that I put on the muzzle, it creates a kind of gray. I prefer to gradually darken my subject. If you add too much color all at once, go dark too fast, you won't be able to get it off if you add more than you need. I'm going to use the end of my brown and go back and forth. Now I'm going to add some black. I'm losing a little bit of my outline, my guidelines, so I'm going to add them back in. Okay, so here's where some nice black hair is. So I want to add that. We're going to deal with the nose and the mouth here in a second. So I'm looking at my reference. How's everybody doing? Don't do that. Don't drop your pastels on your paper. Let's do his nose. I'm going to take some blue and I'm going to color. Normally if we do charcoal drawing, then we do blue and then we do black. But since we did black, now we're going to do blue. So I'm going to color the nose with blue. Now I'm going to take my white pencil and I want to add these little hairs, not the whiskers, but just a little line. I got the tooth. I have my line in the wrong place, so I'm going to change it. And we're going to add another color. This time we're going to add 353 New Pastel Cordovan. I love Cordovan. Cordovan is a Mars Violet. It's a purple brown. So we have the 223, which is kind of a light warm brown. Cordovan is a darker purple brown, and I use it practically in every painting I paint. It would probably be comparable to Mars Violet 538.5 Rembrandt, but it's little and it goes in little places, so we're going to darken down our browns again. But each time we do this, we are covering a smaller space than we were before. So we covered a large area with the 223, okay? This is a hard, warm brown. And you can feel it pushing color into the paper. This is a warmer brown. This has gotten too cool. So while I'm thinking about it, you want to fix things while you're thinking about them. Or excuse me, it's gotten too warm. I need to cool it down. So I got my little blue, making sure I have the right side. I'll go over the brown with it, and that turns it into a lovely darker gray. So the wolf, I think dogs do too as well. I've noticed there's a lot of dark brown color around the mouth. So I'm going to use this. Now, let's get this area around the eye. There are also some little brown hairs here, so I can add this, and because I added the white hairs earlier, they show through. And this edge is going to be struck by the light of the moon, right? So I'm just coloring like I was coloring in a coloring book. Just real lightly. There's a little bit here. So I'm getting darker and darker. And they're a little dark hairs there, but I don't want to get them too dark. There are some areas up in here where the hair is shorter and the hair kind of splits because there are little shadows where the hair is split. So I want to darken those areas down. And now I'm going to add some more blue. My blue has gotten kind of worn down, so I'm going to sharpen it. I'm going to use this piece of paper and show you how I do this. So I put the new pastel into the sharpener, and it gets my pastel stick nice and sharp. Pull this paper off. Okay, now we don't want this to get on the painting, so we're going to move it out of the way. And I'm going to go over the dark areas again with the blue. And then I'm going to do it at the same time with the brown. I'm looking at my reference. Okay. This has been one of the largest classes I've had. I know a lot of people are going to be watching after they get off work, watching the replays, but I want to thank you guys for your support. Now, in these little areas that I use the brown, I'm going to go over it with the blue. Wow. I know this looks really dark, but it's really going to work out, trust me. This area that I'm working on right here underneath the neck, this will be the core shadow area. The core shadow being the place where it's darkest just before it goes into the light on either side, either with the reflected light or highlight. And so this is going to be our darkest area. I'm going to put a little brown on that. I think I should have, this is the 223. This is the bottom edge of the neck before it turns upward, before it hits the body and its head is turning upward rather. Let's put a little brown here, just a little so we can see the edge. Now I want to show you how to fix something in case you get too much color and you do want to take it off. If you have too much color on your painting and you do want to take it off, and a little more brown there, you can use a kneaded eraser. And if I take my kneaded eraser and I pull it out, oh, B, thank you. Thank you, Kathy. I'm glad y'all are so encouraging. This is the ugly stage. If you get too much color on your picture, you can take your kneaded eraser and you can dab color off. And that removes some of the color. I like mine, so I don't want to remove too much color. Now I can see that the eye, kind of lost my eye, so this is black. I'm going to put it in around the eye. Add some black. going to show you another way to use your black too. Let me get, while I'm thinking about it, get right out here to the tip. And in my ear, it needs to be kind of a dark gray, so let's get some more blue on it. And then put some brown over top that. Put some black. The idea is to put all the darks in so you won't have to add really many darks back. Just a little blue, so let me put a little brown over it. That looks much better. I can take my black and I can use the back end of it, one of the sharp edges, and it will give me a linear line, and we can add hair. So this doesn't make really sharp lines, but I'm not looking to make it really, but I do want to get this darker. I'm going to put some blue. And I think I have me a little brown piece too. I know this isn't the most fun part, but it's the part that is so necessary to get the effect that we want. I think I want a little more brown there. I'm going to move my wolf up a little bit so that, because I don't think that'll work. So I'm going to pull him up. and do this so that we can get this bottom part colored. So I'm going to, because I didn't think it was within in camera range, so I'm going to color it in with the base coat 707. Point 7. Now, I'm going to go back to my a little brown. This is my blue. Now this is the top of the leg. That's pretty blue. Draw in the bottom of this leg there. And what we're going to do around here is fade this into the background. Take my brown. And I'm going to go over the blue with the bottom of my 223 burnt umber. Now the black, he has a very a large area of black fur right in this area on his back, so I'm going to put that in. Didn't mean to go that far down. And it's very dark on her chest, above the leg. I use the little blue again and go over here and make this hair gray. I'll go over the blue with the brown. There's some areas in here that are darker. And this is where the hair starts to go in different directions, and that's going to be real pretty when we add the lights in. So I'm going to put that in. This is a 353 brown. No, it's not. Picked up the wrong color. This is, and I'm going to add a little brown. Looks pretty good. Okay, I'm going to move this back down, and we have this one a little faster than I thought. So we're going to have time to, I'm going to move the camera up some to start on the background. And I'm going to show you how to do this, and you can start on it if you want. If not, that's okay too. I'm going to do it completely next time. Okay, so here's our wolf. She looks pretty strange at this point, but it's going to be perfect for putting our light hairs on top. Using my black here to just add a little more variety in here. When I paint, I lose really all concept of time and paint for hours and hours. And take my time. Put a little brown right there. A little black right here. Okay. That looks, I think, just the way I want it to look. Here's my blue for adding the white hairs on top. But we'll give it another look and decide. The eye is a little too bright. So I'm just going to color over it a little bit with the brown, take it down a notch. And then I can come back and put just one highlight in it like that. let's talk a little bit about the background. The background, we're going to start with hard pastels, and then we're going to go to softer ones to create a better background. So I'm going to use a Rembrandt. It's 508.5 Prussian blue. It's a very hard pastel. I'm looking for my little piece. I have a big one and I have a little one. And you sand it, and you wipe the dust off. And we're going to use this to make the dark sky, and then we're going to blend some other things into it. So I'm going to take it, and I want to come right up to the edge of the moon. And the edge of the wolf. And I'm pushing very hard because it's such a hard pastel. The reason it's hard, the blues and the greens in the Rembrandt line are very hard because of the amount of binder that's in the pastel. Now when color stops coming off, it'll form and I don't know if you can see it, it forms a black skin. And then you have to sand it off and wipe it off. And then start to add the color again. But I want to be very careful about the edge of the moon. Okay, I want to keep that edge clean. So I'm going to stay on the camera where you can see it. So I would go all the way around the edge, all the way around the moon. So I'm going to come back. And I'm going to come down into this area. So I'm going to cover the whole background with this color. Now I'm pushing just about as hard as I can, back and forth, making my layers as smooth as I can. Now I'm going to turn my painting so I can get this other area for you. Let me pull my tape up. It's easier for me to do that. And hopefully less distracting. So let me turn it this way. There. So I'm going to keep adding color. I also wanted to tell you about the moon. Now, when I went to make the drawing for this, I had my wolf and I had a piece of tracing paper, and actually I had a couple of bowls for my kitchen and decided what size I wanted the moon to be. I made it rather dramatic by making it rather large. If you haven't started yours yet and you want a smaller moon, you can certainly do that. Working around the edge. And so I drew the circles on a piece of tracing paper and moved it around until I found the spot I liked the best on my painting, and that's where I put it. So that's just a tip if you're doing something like that. My off screen, I'm down here in the corner. Now, you might be wondering, well, why don't I use that spruce blue? The spruce blue is not as bright a blue, and I don't think it would be as pretty a color as this one is. I can pull this up and go around. You can actually not even wipe your color off if you want to, and push the dust in. Keep in mind that most Rembrandts are not this hard. They don't have this much binder. Mine is just about gone, so I'm going to switch to my other piece. So here's a bigger piece, and I sanded the end. I can use the end to get up very close to the moon. Now I want to be careful going around the ear. That's why we put the white line in, so we can see exactly where we are. And also, we don't want to come into the back of the wolf. We want to leave those hairs nice and bright. I'm going to turn my wolf back around and give you, show you what we're going to do next. Okay, now we're going to add another color, which is also a hard color, which is 397.3 Permanent Rose. It's a dark red color, and it is the same in that it is very hard. Now if I apply this about halfway up over the blue, it mixes together and makes a beautiful red violet. And then when you run out of color, you have to sand it and go back and add some more color, pushing everything into the paper. Now, it's when I got to this, I have to be really honest with you guys, when I create a project, I don't always know what's going to happen. Sometimes things don't turn out the way I think they will. So it was at this point I decided we need some soft pastel. Now, I decided to use some Unison pastels, which are really great. This is a piece of a Unison Dark 19, which was on your color list. It's a dark 18, excuse me. It is a dark blue pastel. I have a little piece of it left here. And these are great. These are great for, it's only going to go one layer on velour. But this is going to take a lot of work to get it even. So I got this dark blue Unison and started to add it. That piece is kind of busted up. Let me see if I can get another one. Be very careful going around your edge. And this worked out great. So we use what we have, right? Now if it's too soft and you want to push it down, then you go back to your blue hard one and you go over it and it pushes it into the nap. But this just works beautifully. And it doesn't have to be this particular color. It can be any navy blue, soft pastel you might happen to have. This one needs to be busted. So that it can color better. So I'm going to color down there. And then I thought, well, I need a red one to go with it, and this will make a nice smooth surface. So I found a red one, a red violet, which is Unison Red 15 or Unison Portrait 9 or something like that, and I add the red violet color over, and it's just beautiful, and I can blend the two together. And I can push it in with my blue. And that's how we're going to make our background. So depending on how energetic you feel, you can complete your entire background up to that point this way. Between now and Wednesday, I'm going to go over it again on Wednesday. So that looks really super nice, I think. Does anybody have any questions before we finish our session today? I'll wait a few minutes. I know there's a delay. I would suggest wearing a glove as well. It works a little better when you do. Or it's a little less messy anyway. So I'm using the harder pastel to help push this into the paper. And it makes the surface smoother. Okay. Okay, Olivia doesn't have a unison color. Olivia, do you have any soft pastels? It could be Munyo soft pastels. It could be Great Americans. It could be Mount Visions or Giroux. It doesn't matter. But if you don't have any soft pastels, then just keep layering. For instance, if I sand my blue, I can go back up to my surface and just keep layering the color until I get it like I want. We're also going to take some black and go over this too, which will help to even it out. Oh, you're so welcome, Pat. I love teaching, and I'm just sorry I can't do it in person, but I'm so glad that through the miracle of technology that we can come together and meet. And since I'm talking to you guys, I want you to consider, we're considering changing platforms to Zoom so that we can have a face-to-face conversation. And if you would like that, or if you have any comments on that, please let us know. So if I keep sanding this very hard blue, it will blend and eventually fill in the color. It would just take longer. Okay, Olivia has some Mount Visions. That's great. Mount Visions are great pastels. So if you have a dark blue or a purple or whatever dark color you have, it wouldn't matter as long as it's dark. So if I put this down, and I'm getting a little ahead of the game, but next time we're going to finish this background color off with black Rembrandt 700 by putting it right around the edge of the moon. And so if I do that and feather it out, it helps to smooth the color as well and makes a very nice background. So I have that black going into the navy blue, going into the red violet, which creates this vivid background. Linda would like to know if I'm finishing the background together next week. If not, what do you want us to lay down before next week? Yes, we'll finish the background. If you have time, if you get all of your layering on your wolf done, then you could put the blue down. I do think putting the hard blue down first helps the raw color. A lot of times, you know, guys, I don't know everything, but I love pastel and I love the colors, and I have a whole lot of unisons, so I just thought, well, I'm going to pull those out. And everybody's not going to have the same thing, but I wanted to give you alternatives. So the answer to the question is, if you can do part of the background, to do just the hard blue layer before we come back together, that'll be fine. I am not going to do any more on it till I see you next time, and then we'll complete it together before I move on to the moon. So we'll finish the background, and then we'll do the moon, and then we'll get into the final hairs on the wolf. And when you take a break in between, then you can come back and see it and see what you need to fix. It's always good to take a break. So thank you for joining me today. We ran over. Okay, Kathy, Zoom with recording. Yes, we will be doing it with the recorded part so that you can view it later. I'm not, I need to check further into that, but I think Zoom might be a good place to go, because then we could have some interaction. And I would kind of like that, to be able to see you and for you to see me and for me to see your work and actually give you some feedback, sort of kind of in person, like we used to do when we had class. So we'll think on it. We're just kind of exploring opportunities now. So I've kept you long enough. I will see you again soon. Connie, I totally understand about connections. We had to have some people come in and fix ours because we live rurally too, and I think Pat does as well. So in the beginning we did have some connection issues, but it keeps getting better. So we're just thinking about things now, kind of thinking out loud, and inviting you guys to talk with us about it, because I love the fact that I can have you from all over the country that I would have never met otherwise. So that's wonderful. So if you'll leave a note in the comments about where you're located, Steve wants to know where you are, so do that. If you have questions, post those. I will definitely answer them and get back to you.
You can tell that one lady about our booster.
Oh, that's true. My partner and best friend said, I should tell you, my partner of 50 years, we bought a booster, a Wi-Fi booster that we put, our router is in the back of the house where our office is, and my studio is in the front of the house. So we bought a Wi-Fi booster and put that in the wall, which seems to help. And then we also had a technician come in and give us a more powerful booster, or not a booster, but a more powerful system and router to, oh wow, look at where everybody's from. Franklin, North Carolina, Alabama, Nevada, Maryland. You guys are from all over. And I know we have some West Coasters, California, and I appreciate it. This is wonderful. Thank you. It's been a great class. So until Wednesday, work on your wolf. We'll get back together on Wednesday, and we'll complete the background, and maybe we'll have time to we have Belinda is from Texas, and Karen is from upstate New York. Well, welcome, all of you. This is great. I should have asked you sooner where you were from. So work on your wolf, and I will see you on Wednesday. And thank you all for tuning in. The replay will be posted as soon as I sign off. Thanks. Bye-bye.